And joining us now is Bill Richardson. He's a former congressman, a former governor, the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, and he has engaged with Russia, North Korea, and other countries to help free Americans wrongly imprisoned. He was involved in helping to win the freedom recently of WNBA star Brittany Griner. That was just last December, and she was in a Russian prison, as we all know. Ambassador, we've heard the Russian side drop hints that there could be movement in Evan's case. So is that real, or is it a ploy by Russia to up the stakes by raising hopes?
Well, I think it's both, Mike. I'm not involved in this specific case with a Wall Street Journal reporter. I am with a Paul Whelan, the Marine that we've unfortunately have not gotten out, that we must get out. But I think it is a little bit of a glimmer of hope. One, allowing the American ambassador to visit Evan in the prison. That's international law, but the Russians could have said no. Secondly, the spokesman, the Russian spokesman, saying discussions have taken place. I know the administration is trying very hard to make this happen, but it has to be, I believe, a package deal. Whelan and Evan probably in a prisoner swap for hopefully just two Russians, but many Russians. So as you said, they're raising the stakes. They're very tough negotiators, and it's going to involve a prisoner swap. That's the only way the Russians deal with a lot of these issues.
Yeah, I want to get to that swap possibility in a second, but I want to go back to one thing that Jake Sullivan said today from that White House podium. He said he saw the Russian statement. He says the U.S. is prepared to do, quote, hard things. What do you think he means by that? What are those hard things that the U.S. is willing to give up and do to get Evan back?
Well, Mike, I think it's basically prisoner swaps. I don't think the administration is going to, like, for instance, lessen our commitment to Ukraine or stop any kind of initiative to help Ukraine. I think it's important we separate these issues. But what can happen, hopefully, is humanitarian issues, prisoner swaps, human rights initiatives can lead to maybe a little glimmer of a better relationship with Russia, which is in terrible shape right now. So I believe you have to separate them. You can't get into the geopolitical issues that divide us and engage in prisoner swaps as a condition.
Okay, you said a package deal, and you're talking about prisoner swaps. You were involved in the Griner release, the release of Brittany Griner. Of course, it was controversial at the time because a Russian arms merchant was released. They passed each other famously on the tarmac during that exchange. What do you envision happening in terms of this package? And you think Paul Whelan's going to be part of the package?
Yeah, I think it's going to be very hard for the administration to say, all right, we're going to try to get Evan, and we're going to leave Paul Whelan behind. I mean, I supported the president in the last initiative when we got a boot for Brittany Griner. But the Russians, we thought it was going to be a 2 for 2. But then at the last minute, the Russians said, no, it's going to be 1 for 1. It's going to be boot. I think we can't leave Paul Whelan behind this time. So what am I saying? A package deal. We're going to have to give up 2 that the Russians want, or 3. It may not be in the United States. They may be in Brazil. They may be somewhere else. I think the administration is trying to make this happen. But the Russians are tough, and you know they right now control the stakes. So we got to be patient, but at the same time we got to press on. This is so important. We have to bring our hostages home in Iran and Venezuela and in Russia and North Korea, everywhere else. There are 59, Mike, and we have to bring them home.
Vitally important. No one could argue with that. Bill Richardson, Ambassador, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.